Do you know what? I'm really excited about the Arsenal-Liverpool game. Oh yeah, Mev, why is that? Well, both defences have been excellent in the league so far this season, and I think the centre-backs, all four of them, are actually phenomenal. I actually agree with you. I think it's going to be really hard for both teams to score a goal in this game. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where I, Mev, clearly talk about football and have no idea what I'm on about because my predictions go completely wrong. But all joking aside, I think that was a phenomenal performance for Arsenal. Absolutely dominated Liverpool as they won 3-1, and I think to myself that was a genuine title 6-pointer, and sometimes that gets banded around a bit too much, a 6-pointer, but that was absolutely one, and Arsenal thoroughly deserved the victory on the day. And this is what it means for the Premier League title. That was a massive 3 points for Arsenal. It cannot be overstated how massive that was. Winning against Liverpool, now they're only 2 points behind in the league, having played the same amount of games. However, obviously, there is the very ominous Manchester City just behind on 46 points with 2 games in hand over Arsenal and Liverpool, and you expect Man City to win those games and go top. However, for Arsenal, just to put themselves in the title conversation again after a difficult December, early January, I think this was vitally important. And this is how Arsenal lined up for the game. They had David Raya in goal, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. What do you normally expect? Interestingly though, the midfield was Rice, Odegaard and Jorginho. I did think to myself before the game, who's going to play that left side today? That seems to be the only mystery in this Arsenal side. I was wondering whether Smith Rowe's going to get the nod. I wonder if maybe it's going to be Havertz and Jesus up front. However, we found out before the game, Jesus got a bit of a knock on his knee. So it was Havertz in the false 9, flanked by Martin and Saka. And there's Jorginho in that left side today. And I actually think he was man of the match in this game for Arsenal. Very underrated, and I think in his performance so far this season, I think he's come on and most of the time done really well. And I think this game he was key to the way Arsenal won and destroyed Liverpool in that midfield especially. We'll talk about him a bit later on, but for Liverpool, they also set it up a bit differently to how they normally would. They had Alisson in goal, and the big one was going to be the fullbacks. Konate and Virgil van Dijk were always going to start. Was it going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold or Conor Bradley? Unfortunately, we found out, I think the day before the game, that obviously Conor Bradley's father passed away. Wish the best condolences to Conor Bradley and his family at this time. Very unfortunate because I think he put in a great shot to be able to start this game, especially after his performance against Chelsea. And I think it was always going to be Joe Gomez at left back instead of Andy Robertson because of the fact that Gomez had played so superbly well while he's been filling in at left back with Robertson and Tsimikas out injured. And I think Robertson hasn't been quite up to speed. Another blow for Liverpool in that midfield was Dominic Szoboszlai picked up a bit of a knock against Chelsea, so he's going to be unavailable. So Ryan Gravenberch came in, and for Liverpool again, Darwin Núñez not inside. The first time so far this season that Núñez and Salah, and neither of them have started in a league game for Liverpool. So it was Diaz, Jota and Gakpo, not the preferred front three, but the teams that had to go out. And it's kind of one where neither Liverpool or Arsenal were receiving their full strength. However, based on the full performance, Arsenal definitely were at full strength because they're miles the better team. And Arsenal, as the home side normally would, they dominated the early stages of the game. They were definitely in the front foot much more than Liverpool. And Liverpool were looking to contain in that first 10-15 minutes, get their ground at the Emirates. However, it was this moment in the 11th minute which I think completely changed the game. And obviously, if you watch the game or seen the highlights, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was when Liverpool won the attack. They failed the attack. David Raya collected the ball and he threw the ball out to Gabriel Martinelli. And I think that was such a pivotal moment in the game because it allowed for what happened eventually for the first goal for Arsenal, and I think what really stuck in Liverpool's head mentally. So obviously, as that play gets developed, Trent Alexander-Arnold for some reason just lets Martinelli go, as he seems to do. Sometimes he's not as bad as defending as I think most people give him a hard time for, but at the moment he should have been running back, which left Martinelli running at Liverpool's own goal against Ibrahima Konate. And I've seen Konate so many times this season and throughout his career just keep up with attackers as if it's a dawdle in the park, as if he's done this every single time. But it was one where I was thinking to myself, as Martinelli got further and further towards Liverpool's goal, I was like, okay, so when's Konate going to get this ball? When's Konate going to get this ball? And then I saw the final touch that Martinelli took into the Liverpool penalty area, and I was like, Konate's going full out here, and he's got no chance of competing with Martinelli. And that really shook me, and I think that really shook the whole Liverpool side because Bukayo Saka really should be taking that chance. He should be scoring it. He gets a little nudge of the shoulder from Joe Gomez. Wasn't enough for a penalty, but that was enough. And that was warning signs for Liverpool saying, you got to watch out. And that ultimately was what resulted in Arsenal's goal because although they didn't score there, that stuck with Liverpool's mind and in the players. And what led to them being calamitous really for Arsenal's first goal. And here you have the build-up for Arsenal's first goal, and reminder, this is just 3 minutes after Martinelli ran down the whole of Liverpool's right-hand side, put the ball into Saka, and which he should have scored. So now you have Zinchenko who's on the ball there, and I think Trent Alexander-Arnold does the thing that Jurgen Klopp sides always do, which is be aggressive and be on the front foot. So he presses Zinchenko, which is perfectly fine. But at this moment in time, Liverpool have no striker to mark for the centre-back. And if I just move myself, let's say up here, yeah, that's better. And you can see Havertz is actually just with McAllister in the middle of the park and just actually at the bottom right-hand corner of where my image is. And there is no striker at all for Virgil van Dijk to mark. Ibrahim Konate is going to try and mark Martinelli after what just happened 3 minutes earlier. Trent Alexander-Arnold is being aggressive. So Liverpool are in complete control here. However, there are the early warning signs that there's going to be an issue because of the fact that Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate and Trent Alexander-Arnold, typically you say to defend to stay in a straight line. They're anything but in the straight line. They're all over the place completely. And that's where the first issue comes in. But if I show you again as Zinchenko moves the ball to Odegaard, now this is where I've got to say I've got a real issue with the centre backs here. Because Ibrahim Konate is on the top right, he's marking Martinelli because Trent is out of position. That's perfectly fine for Liverpool. But as Zinchenko makes a pass into Martin Odegaard, look at the positioning of Virgil van Dijk. He is completely off balance there. He's running back towards his own goal and he thinks to himself, right, I'm anticipating the pass. I can see that Zinchenko is going to make that pass to Martin Odegaard in the middle, and I think I can get there. Under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool are always aggressive and will always like to be on the front foot and try and win the ball back in areas. However, at that moment in time, he makes a mistake, and then subsequently Ibrahim Konate makes a mistake. Because where is the risk at this moment in time? Maybe a bit off screen, you can't really see it, but Bukayo Saka is further down the pitch and Joe Gomez has got 5 or 10 yards on Saka at this time, so that's no problem. Havertz is being marked in the middle of the pitch next to the referee by Alexis McAllister, so that's not a problem. And Ibrahim Konate has Martinelli. So where is the danger? At this moment in time, nowhere. There is no danger whatsoever. Liverpool are in a completely fine position. The issue arises for Liverpool, and which Arsenal works so well, is that Havertz was playing in that midfield, kind of dropping in deep to try and create a box midfield along with Odegaard, Jorginho and Rice, which they completely dominated. And the reason they dominated that, because Liverpool couldn't add another fourth body into that midfield. One, because of Martinelli's run 3 minutes prior, which meant that Trent Alexander-Arnold was so wide in this game that he was unable to drift inside into midfield and help Liverpool's midfield to, load the bodies up. 2, Cody Gakpo, who is a player who could do that from the forward line, wasn't doing that at all because 1, Zinchenko was playing so high and wide in that first half that it meant that Cody Gakpo was unable to join the midfield because Zinchenko was always an outlet for Arsenal. But 2, because he's playing on the right-hand side, and I think that's an issue in which Jurgen Klopp played Cody Gakpo to try and nullify Zinchenko, but really he should have played Diogo Jota out on that right-hand side. He's done really well in recent games with his link-up with Conor Bradley down that right-hand side. And the issue is Cody Gakpo can't really do it from the right wing as well as he could if he was playing in the centre. So Arsenal have this overload, but again, where's the danger? There is no danger. The danger comes for Arsenal. The danger comes for Liverpool from Arsenal's perspective because of Van Dijk's error here. And if you move it on one more image, here we have now Zinchenko played the ball to Odegaard and Odegaard is about to make the pass. And you can see Van Dijk's positioning. He realizes he's made a massive mistake because he knows he should be 5 yards further back in line with Joe Gomez and Ibrahim Konate. And if he does that, then Kai Havertz is unable to find the back of, go behind the Liverpool line and try to have a shot at goal. The issue is now Konate has full vision of what's going on in front of him and he has a decision to make here. He can either decide to go with Kai Havertz and have that recovery pace on him, which he most definitely has against a player like Kai Havertz. However, like I've said again, 3 minutes earlier, Martinelli has a marauding run down the left-hand side, which means that Konate is he doesn't want to come out of that position because he wants to stay with Martinelli and neutralize that threat. However, he is misguided because of that situation a couple minutes earlier, and the main threat in this situation is Kai Havertz as soon as Van Dijk vacates that position in the centre of the Liverpool's defence. So as you can see here from 3 minutes earlier that was a huge moment in the game, because that really puts Liverpool centre-backs in a situation where they don't really know what to do, and there's a tactical masterclass by Mikel Arteta to decide to put Havertz in, dropping into midfield, leaving the centre-backs of Liverpool nowhere to go, not sure what to do, and it forces them to make the mistake and also to take a well-worked goal in the end. And after this goal, Liverpool do regain a bit of possession in the game. They have a 53% ball possession in that first half. However, they have no control of it because Arsenal are pressing so well, and when Arsenal are on the ball, Liverpool are unable to get the ball off them. And this can be seen by Jorginho, who had a fantastic game, and was arguably my man of the match. And as we can see here, for Arsenal, the most passes attempted in the whole game was by Jorginho, 52 passes with an 87% pass accuracy. I thought Jorginho in this game was phenomenal, and I think it's one where in that 8 position there have been questions: is it Havertz, is it Smith Rowe, is it who else is it? Is it Rice potentially with Partey playing deeper, or is it Rice with Jorginho playing deeper? Or is it maybe Zinchenko? Could he do a job there? But I think in this game, in this scenario, when Mikel Arteta had a decision to make with Jesus out injured, he had 2 big choices. Who do I play up top? He got that right with Kai Havertz. And who do I play in that left side 8? He got that right with Jorginho. A fantastic game, my man in the match, and he thoroughly deserved it because he dominated that midfield very quietly, but very intentionally. And it meant that Liverpool only had 3 shots in the entire first half, none on target. However, they did find themselves level at the break. And I could try and break down and talk about, Liverpool's goal and also Arsenal's second, in which Martinelli scores. However, I think, it's a bit redundant. There's no point really talking about it because I think there were just defensive errors, and massive defensive errors. The 4 centre-backs in this game, I thought all of them weren't great. I thought maybe Saliba was arguably the best out of all 4, but I think none of them covered themselves in glory in this game. And I think for Liverpool's goal, it was just, tenacity and hard work by Luis Diaz to be able to force that error from Saliba, and a bit of miscommunication between Saliba and David Raya, which unfortunately led to the Gabriel own goal. And I think for Arsenal's second goal to make it 2-1 in the game, I think Martinelli, similar to Luis Diaz, tenacity, hard work, determination, willing to put yourself out there and, try and make something. 9 times out of 10, that run, that pressure doesn't result in anything, but the odd occasion it does. It is fantastic because it happened to be in that 1 out of 10 time happened to be in a game of this magnitude, and it was just an absolute sitter for Martinelli. And then Arsenal end up 2-1 up. They're shooting themselves at the end at half time because of the way that Liverpool equalised, but then Liverpool are massively just let Arsenal off the hook there, making it 2-1. But then I think we have to talk about Liverpool in the sense that I don't think anyone was at 100% today. I think they were all very poor, and I don't think anyone really stood out, maybe apart from Alexis McAllister, the best player for Liverpool, but they were all incredibly poor. And I think it's one where we've been talking about Jurgen Klopp's substitutions so far this season and how they've been fantastic. Liverpool in the second half of games have been relentless, much better than in the first. But I think it's one where in this game, Klopp's substitutions made the team worse. And I know Liverpool fans might not want to hear that. It's not, saying Klopp is a terrible manager. I think it's fair to be able to criticise him, but with being able to say I still think he's a fantastic manager. I just think in this game he had a bad game tactically. I think it was very similar to the Man United game Liverpool had at home in the 0-0, where Klopp made some substitutions. They didn't quite work, and then in that game he had to make some more substitutions just to correct the bad substitutions he initially made. I don't think he needed to do that in this game, but I think he made 3 bad substitutions, and then he made a 4th, which is even worse. So obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ryan Gravenberch and Cody Gakpo all came off in this game, and then Andy Robertson, Harvey Elliott and Darwin Núñez all came on. The Trent Alexander-Arnold one I can understand because I don't think he's 100% fully fit at this moment in time, and I think not having Conor Bradley available, again, very unfortunate what happened to his dad, but him not travelling meant that Trent was never going to play the full 90, but it would have been nice to have Bradley to bring on. There might have been even a shout for Bradley to start this game, which might have meant that Martinelli didn't have as great a game as he did have. So you can understand it. He's not got the full minutes, and you bring on Andy Robertson, which is one of the best left backs in the Premier League history, and maybe someone who can really add some impetus down the left hand side for Liverpool. Joe Gomez goes to the right. However, at that point, Joe Gomez is already in the booking, and so he's got to face Gabriel Martinelli, which is always going to be a tough task. I think the Gravenberch for Elliott one makes perfect sense. I really like Gravenberch, but he initially started off really well, but then has kind of dropped off a little bit as of late, and it's easy to tell because he's a new player in a new country and still adapting to the way that Jurgen Klopp wants to play. I think Elliott knows the defensive responsibilities, knows how this Liverpool side are going to play and where he needs to be at all times, and he can get a bit stuck in. It didn't quite work out for him today, and which is a shame because he's normally been quite good off the bench. And then for Núñez, for Gakpo, I think again that's a change that needed to be made. However, Núñez was unable to get into the game. He didn't make those runs in behind. And I think it's one where Arsenal and Arteta really learned from that FA Cup game, because Núñez was a handful down the middle and then down the left, and he wasn't able to do so in this game whatsoever. I think it's one where it was annoying that for Liverpool fans he wasn't able to start, because I think he definitely would have been starting if he was fit. But I don't think the subs really made a difference. It did feel like Liverpool were chucking players on who weren't 100% fit, and it just really sucked the life out of Liverpool, because although I don't think Trent, Gravenberch or Gakpo were having particularly great games, I think Trent especially, you know his quality, and it was such a shame to see him come off, especially since Robertson isn't at 100% just yet. But I think what we're going to talk about now is Konaté's red card and the 2 yellows actually. But it all stemmed, again, that magic number 3. 3 minutes before that incident happens, Jurgen Klopp makes a substitution to bring off Joe Gomez and bring on Thiago Alcantara. And I can understand the substitution at the time, because you're going for it all hell for leather. You know, you need to get at least a draw out of this game. You take off a defender, bring on a midfielder, and especially Thiago. He's got a wand of a right foot. He's such a magician. He can maybe unlock the Arsenal defence, which Liverpool have been really struggling with so far. But I think to take off Joe Gomez was a mistake and probably the wrong decision. And then to put Luis Diaz at right back was also very questionable. You can maybe put Harvey Elliott there. That seems like a more seamless transition for a right-sided midfielder than, you know, someone who's been playing on the wing. I can understand it, but still it didn't quite sit right with me. And then of course Konaté gets himself a second yellow, and for me, definitely a second yellow, and I'll show you why. So this is the still from when Konaté makes a challenge on Havertz for that second yellow. And I think Liverpool fans who are maybe saying it's a bit harsh, I don't think it is. I think it is definitely a yellow. And since the fact that Konaté's already got a yellow, again, because of Kai Havertz for his tenacity in that early on in that second half, I think he does deserve the red card. But the issue I have here is he doesn't need to make the challenge, if we're being completely honest. Obviously, Liverpool are a bit short. They're going for the game. They're putting a lot of people forward, and they don't necessarily have everyone in defence. But Konaté is looking down towards the pitch, and he isn't looking behind him, which is fair because he's got to focus on Havertz. But the mistake is he doesn't need to make the challenge. He's got himself there. He's on a yellow card. He has to let Havertz go. But what he doesn't realise is there's no threat. Well, there's no immediate threat from this position here. And actually, Havertz will take the foul all day, every day in this situation. You've got Harvey Elliott just behind Kai Havertz, who's there to cover up when Konaté does eventually let Havertz go. You've also got Alexis McAllister and Thiago Alcantara with Martin Odegaard, who's the most furthest forward Arsenal player apart from Havertz. And then all the other Arsenal players, all other 8 outfield Arsenal players, are all behind Odegaard. So it's one where Konaté absolutely doesn't need to make the challenge, but he's looking at the byline and he doesn't realise that he doesn't need to make it. He thinks Arsenal are counter-attacking and counter-attacking heavily, but Mikel Arteta has taken off Bukayo Saka, unfortunately because of injury, and Gabriel Martinelli. So arguably the fastest player on the pitch for Arsenal is Leandro Trossard, who, as you can see in shot, at the furthest right player, is about 10 to 15 yards behind Havertz, and there's no chance that Trossard is going to put the afterburners on and beat both Konaté, Elliott, and then Virgil van Dijk, who is still further back, who just off screen to the left you can see. But he doesn't need to make the challenge, and it's actually really well played by Kai Havertz. Very underrated hold-up player as a number 9. It's not his natural position per se, but I think he did phenomenally well, especially in that second half, where he needed to be the target man and hold up the balls and get Konaté sent off. Really, really helped. But like I said, I think having not playing Luis Diaz as a right back in the second half when Thiago came on was a bit of a mistake from Klopp. Maybe play Harvey Elliott, because, you know, Diaz as a right back was just going to be bombing on forward anyway. He wasn't really doing much defensively. He did bits, but it was just the wrong move, in my opinion, from Jurgen Klopp, and which ultimately led to Konaté feeling like he had to make this challenge right here. And again, it was really poor by Liverpool, but fantastic from Arsenal for the third and final goal. Here we have the Arsenal defender clearing the ball. I think it's Gabriel. The ball comes in from Liverpool, from that sweeping ball, I think from Van Dijk. However, Luis Diaz isn't getting into it. Harvey Elliott isn't getting into it. And now you think to yourself, there's a massive space about to open up behind Liverpool's defence. The whole Liverpool team thinks he's offside, running on back from an offside position, and so do the Arsenal players actually, if you look at it. Look at where he picks up the ball. He's got Harvey Elliott behind him, you've got Lewis Diaz creeping up on him. But the fact that he's still able to get himself out of that type of position is fantastic play. And I think he's been such an underrated transfer for Arsenal. When he came in last January, people were saying, we should be signing Mikel and Madrid. Look how that's worked out. But I think, it was really poor by Liverpool in this situation. Yes, they're going for the game, but again, Van Dijk, can you be 5 yards further back and maybe 5 yards closer? You've got Thiago playing at centre-back. Robertson's playing offside, appealing for offside. The Arsenal players don't even care because they think Trossard's offside. It's all a bit of a mess. But the only player in this situation who switched on and wants to carry on with the game is Trossard, and credit to him. And regardless of if you think Arsenal are going to win the league or not, you have to say they're definitely back in the title race. And what's really exciting is the fact that there seems to be a 3-horse title race between Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal. Who knows who's going to win it? There's some very big games coming up for the remainder of the season, especially in March. Liverpool are at home to Manchester City and Arsenal have to go away to Manchester City. So that's going to be 2 massive games. But I think for all 3 teams, all games remaining in the Premier League are going to be super important. I think it's one where you probably have to win 14 of the remaining 15, regardless of which team you are. And I think, you just got to hope that it's in your hands, so you go out and you go make the most of it, because whatever happens is surely going to be exciting, and I'll be here to cover it all on the channel. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.